Hello BookTube, my name is Joe and this is Joe Reads Books. And a plot twist, I've changed my name. As you will have known, I was calling myself the Dyslexic Warrior previously, but now, we have moved to a different chapter. Okay, so this is a long-awaited video that I've been planning to do for the last number of weeks, and this is my January wrap-up as well as my February TBR. So, without further ado, I'm going to move into my January wrap-up. Way! So, the first book I read in January was this book. This is the DC comic, The Ultimate Character Guide. This book is freaking amazing. I loved it. This has all the characters that are in the DC regarding villains and superheroes and some non-superheroes. I'm not a great fan of DC comics. I do have my favourite DC comic characters such as Superman, Batman and The Flash, as well as Green Lantern. And I also think Doctor Strange is a DC character. I'm pretty sure he is. This book I got as a Christmas present from my ex-manager in the place I used to work at. And the artwork in this book is amazing. This is probably what made this book so much more enjoyable for me, is I just love the artwork. I mean, seriously guys, look at the artwork in this. It's unbelievable. This book is actually really interesting. It does have a description of what the ability is, who they are, where they're based, who are their enemies, who are their foes, and then it also has other different things. So it has their powers here, it has what they're about here, and so on and so forth. And it's a pretty awesome book, and I'm really, really happy with it. I would prefer if it was Marvel and not DC, but beggars can't be choosers, and there are some pretty awesome DC characters. Let's just be cool about it, yeah? Cool. The second book I read in January and completed in January, I didn't actually read this book in January, I actually started this book in November and finished in January, so it counts as a book of 2015, and that is Michael Vey and the Prisoner of Cell 25. I didn't like this book. This book had so much promise, but just fell flat for me. I picked this book up, put it down, picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down, and I went on like that from November to January. I eventually forced myself to read this book. As the ending comes to it, it got very, very action-packed, and it actually became very, very interesting towards the end. So this is probably one of the reasons why I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. I also really liked the original idea of how the characters in this book to have superpowers and how they actually have the superpowers and what their superpowers are. I thought it was very, very interesting. I also loved how the villain actually manipulates some of the characters with superpowers to actually work for him. And it was just, altogether, it was quite good, but it just didn't do for me. And I wouldn't recommend this book to anyone over the age of 14. This definitely is a primary school or middle school, I believe that's what it's called in America, book. Anyone from the ages of 10 to 14, yeah, definitely read it. It's a great superhero book for that age group, but it just didn't do for me. Wasn't really happy with it, and I'm not going to see any of the series. I might get someone I know who's younger to read the rest of the series for me and just let me know if it was any good or not. The third book I read in January is probably one of my favourite books of 2015, and that is The Eye of Mines by James Dashner. I am becoming a very, very strong fan of James Dashner. The Eye of Mines was amazing. It's set in the future, in about maybe 2,000 years in the future. A war has hit, I think it's Iceland, and it was actually to do with gold, and this is actually one of the games within the book. The book is basically about gaming and hacking, and when you put the two of them together, you have this guy reading your book without fail. This book actually follows the main character Michael through a series of different tasks in order to get what's called the minority domain. I think that's what it is. Now, the book has a horrible, horrible twist at the end, which I freaking loved. And it is just so good. It's so edge-gripping and it just makes you want to read. I read this book as well as followed it on audio, and it was just, I just loved it. I just really loved it. And I just love how James Dashner writes. And I definitely recommend you guys to pick up this book and read it. And if you have read it, comment below and let me know if you liked it or not. I truly love this book and I cannot wait to read the next one. The last book I read in 2015 for January was Young Elite. I actually don't know if this was actually before the Eye of Mines or after the Eye of Mines, but it's close to it. Marie Lu knows how to build a world, she knows how to crush a world, and she knows how to make you love and hate characters simply through words. This book was amazing. I love the main character. I just love what she stands for. I love what she... I hate her to a point that I love her, but I love her ability and what she can do. And I cannot wait to see the next book in the series. I am looking really, really forward to it. And this book, I can't even put it into words. I just loved it. It was amazing. Again, another book I get 5 stars out of 5. And it's definitely going to be in my top favourites of 2015, as well as the Eye of Mines. And now I'm going to talk to you guys about my February TBR, since it is February. Okay, so February TBR. So my February TBR for this month is quite small. Again, I'm keeping my TBRs quite small per month, as I don't want to overdo it. So the first book on my February TBR is The House of Hades by Rick Riordan. I'm not even that far into it. I'm about 40% into the book. It's roughly about like 200 and something pages. I like it so far. I've had this book on my shelf for about a year or 2 years, whatever then it came out. And it was shortly after coming out, I picked it up while it was on sale. I don't know why I left it so long to read it, because I actually really, really like Rick Riordan. The only series of Rick Riordan's I don't like is his Kane Chronicles. I got that when it first came out when I was in America. And I just did not like the writing style. I didn't like the whole jumping between one character to the next character. And I just didn't like it. But it seems to work very, very well for the Heroes of Olympus series. And I just truly, truly, truly love this book so far. A second book on my TBR is Insurgent by Veronica Ratz. I read Divergent, I think, after it coming out. And really, really love Divergent. And... like the film too, not as good as the book obviously, but really, really like it. And I've had Insurgent on my bookshelf for about 2-3 years now at this stage. So eventually I picked it up there about 4 or 5 days ago. I'm nearly finished it. Love it. There's a particular scene in the book that I really, really love, and if it's not in the film, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. So I'm hoping this particular scene is going to be in the book, because I thought it was hilarious. The last book on my TBR for February is The Gifted by Elizabeth C. I'm really sorry, Elizabeth, I can't pronounce your surname. Yeah, so I came across The Gifted on Twitter by chance, and I read the summary of it and I really liked it. It is very much Divergent meets Young Elites, and from what I can gather, that's what it is. I'm only coming into chapter 5 or chapter 6 of it at the moment. I only started reading this really kind of last night. I couldn't sleep, and this book is just, it's such a fast read, and to hit chapter 5 at the pace I did, I'm really, really surprised myself, and I'm just liking this book at the moment. I've been talking to, or tweeting to Elizabeth on Twitter. Her next book is actually in the series, is out in March, so I really want to get the first book done before I get the second one comes out. And I will have a review on The Gifted once I have it finished, so stay tuned. And Elizabeth, thanks for being so awesome on Twitter. Okay guys, this is my January wrap-up and my February TBR, and I'm signing out, and this is Joe, and I'll see you all in the next chapter.